back. I know I haven't been making many of these kinds of videos lately. I've just been mental busy with the non-essential coming back. We'll see how long that lasts. But the weather's beautiful in Ireland at the moment. It's fabulous actually, and I've been so busy with other things. If you haven't subscribed to the Beyond Room 313 channel, please do, because that's now in the process of developing into something much larger. And there's going to be all kinds of programs. It's going to become like an alternative TV station eventually. That's the aim for it. So new shows will be starting up on there and new programs, and I'll be in most of them. So do subscribe to that channel if you're not already a subscriber. It's non-political. It's not current events driven, unless any of the current events have a kind of a 40 an hour psychic or spiritual aspect to them. So other than that, I wanted to make a few things coming up to watch out for. Psychic weather wise, it should get it's been very interesting for the last week, but it's last few days especially. But it should get very interesting from this point on. We had quite a ferocious full moon that brought all the loonies out in force last week, and they have been agitated and activated, and they will be further charged up by potentially a coronal mass ejection. The sun, yes, 2 days ago released a massive coronal mass ejection flare, currently heading towards the earth and will hit us like a whip tomorrow, June 1st. So many people, including myself, have been reporting off the scale dreams, mad dreaming, very powerful symbolic dreaming, quite a lot of nightmares too. And I've been should take notes of your dreaming. The tribe are very tuned in. We're very, these motherfuckers know this stuff, and that's why we're the tribe. And it's it's something to watch, something to pay attention to. It should be the CME appears to not be hitting the earth full on, more like a sideways glance. So we've gotten lucky this time. But with the movement of the magnetic pole that seems to be accelerating towards a magnetic pole flip, which we're long overdue anyway, coupled with all the other things in the world, coupled with the, like, what's this lockdown really about, I don't know, kind of thing. And the high strangeness continues. It just continues. Now, the subject of this video is what I've been talking about ever since the beginning of this last year and a half. I have to be careful what I say here, because I'm one more video banned and I'll lose this channel, which wouldn't be the end of the world anyway. But it's all backed up on Odyssey anyway. And the thing is all the lunatics will all be trying to find things now to report me to YouTube as the dicks get smaller. Go and report Sheridan. Going to get him, take his channel down. Dick smaller, dick smaller, dick smaller, to match their charisma that's getting smaller and smaller. Oh, look, me, Illuminati. Yeah. Anyway. What the fuck was I going to say? Yeah, so this video is about the self. The self. Now, you've been hearing me for the last year and a half talking about this is the greatest education ever. Okay. Now, it has been because we've learned you should have learned who you really are. This has been your secret college of the self. And this secret college of the self is the sort of like internal mystery school of the self. This is to prepare you for the parallel society. Now, the parallel society does not have a mandate. It does not have a working rules of, list of demands. It does not have a statute. It does not have minutes. It does not have a framework. It has basically one thing, and this is a really important thing. How many times have I told you to work on your charisma? Okay. Now, you build your charismatic power up by not railing against injustice. You see, if you stand, this is why all these types who have all these lefties who march in all these SWP and people before profit and all that crap, why they don't have any charisma as people, is because that's how you kill it. If you rail against the impossible, you destroy your own charisma. So what you do is you generate your own charisma by accepting that the impossible is a reality that cannot be overcome directly through full-on, assault or condemnation or attacking. You overcome it by developing a laissez-faire attitude towards its effect upon you. So therefore, you're aware of things, that horrors, and injustices that go on in the world. Like the recent tech guy who was a Twitter top guy who's just been done for grooming little children, 6 and 7. And these types of creatures, they do exist. A guy who came to prominence slagging off the Pizzagate conspiracy, when it turns out that he was one of them. That's why I always say people who are generally knee-jerk anti-conspiracy are usually suspect. I keep saying that to you. If you meet someone and if their reaction to everything that's outside of the orthodoxy is conspiracy theory, then people are suspect. Because usually there's something in the orthodoxy that's protecting them. And you'll find that these types lack, in recent times when I had some free time in the evening, I've been hanging out on atheist groups. And they're all the same. They're angry fuckers. They're not happy. They're mostly males who are either divorced, single, have no chance of getting a woman. They are just miserable people who somehow have decided that Christianity, and it's always Christianity for some reason with this bunch, that Christianity, and sometimes they'll go after the New Age people, but Christianity is the cause of all the problems in their lives. They've decided that, and therefore by destroying Christianity, by attacking it. Now, you know me, I have huge problems with Christianity, but I couldn't be arsed dealing with it. I've got other things to do. That'll take care of itself. And that's exactly what I'm talking about here. Like, you don't see me, protesting outside churches or, doing things like that or slagging off priests. I'll have a very cordial discussion, friendly discussion with a priest or a nun or a devout Catholic or Protestant. If they're a nice person, everything will be great. I don't sit there trying to force my will on them. And this kind of thing. And that's how you build your charisma, because you're not developing an antagonistic, confrontational aspect towards it, in that you're being driven by this need to change it. You see, when you focus all your powers on now, there's a difference between highlighting an injustice and trying to change an injustice. By highlighting an injustice, you brought it out of the shadows, okay? And therefore, it no longer has the protection of being in the shadows. So, for instance, when you have someone like Dave Cullen, when he makes his brilliant videos on Odyssey and BitChute, he's like a miner. He's like digging into the mines, and he's pulling out the ore of pathology regarding the last year and a half, right? At the same time, when it's pulled out, you have someone like John Waters, who will be almost like the philosopher of it. He will encapsulate it into a form of philosophy. And therefore, but the attitude is that, my attitude is like, are we living on an alien planet? It is like Invasion of the Body Snatchers right now, right? But that's a good thing. That's it. I mean, people have to remember that thing. Are we living in Invasion of the Body Snatchers times? Has the human race been taken over by some kind of virus, an alien being? We don't know the size of aliens. It's fair. I am not against the concept of some kind of aliens have actually been taken over the human race. I am not against that at all. And I don't think anybody could when you walk around and see your neighbors and stuff like that. Like, I was in the shops yesterday and didn't have the mask on or anything. And you get the NPC shuffle. The people ahead of you on the queue going in to buy the stuff, they look like they look at you like this. Right? They look at you like this. Back to what they're doing. And they're always a little bit, do you ever notice they're always looking like this? Every 30 seconds they take a look at you, because they don't recognise a mouth and a nose outside a house. And they keep doing that until they leave the shop. I call it the NPC shuffle. a heretic shuffle. And it's always this kind of body language. Because they're nervous, they're terrified. That's actually the NPC's program breaking down. I used to distract them by going, like a dog or a bird. You snap your fingers in the air, they're called. That's what they like. That's what you're dealing with. That's what you're dealing with. You have to remember you're dealing with that, okay? That's another thing, too. If you have this belief that, like, we can wake the people, we can wake the masses up, man. My Rosa Cree is really bad. The sun is there. We can wake we can wake the masses up, man. We just have to reach them with a message, man. Not gonna happen. Not gonna fucking happen, no. And this belief that you can do that denies you your own charisma, right? And I get people, calling me, texting me, messaging me, PMing me, inboxing me. Thomas, what can I do to make my neighbors, my family, or my friends see what's going on? And I say, let it go, girlfriend. Let it go, girlfriend. Like, it's Pride Month. I'm a day early for Pride Month. Let it go, girlfriend. That's what I'll do. And that's what you do. Let it go. Let it go. Like Melinda Gates has let go her husband. You're out of here, bitch. And that kind of thing, right? And that's how you build your charisma. If you're putting all your energy into raging, like raging against it, like I'm raging, I got rage, but that you'll fuck yourself up, because you see all the SJWs and all the commie lefty activists, Antifa, they got rage. Everything's rage. They got rage. They got punch Nazis, rage. And that's why they have no charisma. That's why they're all pretty horrible people in every way to look at. And you wouldn't want to go for a pint in the pub with them. The thing is to not have that, is to not rage. Having an awareness, like I said, mining the pathology out of the mind, bringing it up and philosophizing and analyzing it, is understanding it. That's becoming aware of the rules of engagement. That's the battle map for the battle. That's the enemy's assault upon you. Okay, but then that's it. You suddenly when you see the whole world as the enemy, well, most of it, you have no chance. However, you can become like the resistance, and you can live among them. As in the parallel society where they don't get to you, where they don't wreck you, where they don't mess your heads up, where they don't make I noticed comments are going to be not filled, but there'll be loads of people that, what about this? What about that? What about any fucking thing? You don't live your life. Okay, it's one thing to live your life expecting the worst to happen, and then when it doesn't happen, it feels great. That's actually a healthy way to live. But some people out there, they expect the worst to happen, and they're almost disappointed when the worst doesn't happen. Let it go. Let it go, bro. Let it go. Everything in this life is a pain in the arse in some way or another, okay? Like, for instance, when this is over, right, we will say, that was one hell of an education. I've learned so much about the world, people I thought I knew, and what wankers they all turned out to be, and the cowards. It was so very 70% of Irish people are now afraid. Are still afraid to go outside to the shops because they're so very, very frightened, frightened, yeah. And that guy's afraid that's dark, the fucking dark now. These fellas, the hard man down the pub in the north side of Dublin. Oh, nobody messes with me. Oh, fucking now, get that fucking cunt. And they're sitting right now, they're going, I'm not fucking going out, I'm fucking dying around it. This carry on. And we've learned they're all cowards, they're pussies. They're all cooks that are whipped by the media. That's what they are. They're all pussy whipped cooks that have been cuckolded by the news, And like I said, you women, if you're married to one of them, I got news to you. If you ever came down, God forbid, with a terminal disease like cancer or something really bad, not terminal, something like that, or MS or something, he'll be the first to leave. So you've got an education here. You look at if you're married or in a relationship with a guy and you've got kids especially, and he's sitting there going, I'm all scared, I'm frightened, I'm so frightened, I'm so scared, I don't want to go outside, oh God, what am I going to do? You gotta leave him. Because he only thinks of himself. And if something happened to you or one of the kids, he'd be gone. Now, consider the last year and a half. Okay, well, now this bollocks goes on, right? Pollen season again. You consider this, right? You look at it this way. When it's over, greatest education ever, right? When it's over, ooh, look at mad hair. When it's, I'm like Kim Il Young. I got mad hair and all the girls love me. When all this is over, yeah, it'll be like a bad thing in your life, like people who raise kids, they'll say things like, there was times it was really, really rough. It was like really rough. But at the end, I have, two great kids who grow up to be fine adults. The same with a long-term relationship or a long marriage. They'll say there were times it was bad, but it didn't work. But in the end, it was okay. And that's how this whole year and a half will be. This epic voyage, this Corona Chronicle. At the end of it, you'll say, "Oh, it was real shite being locked up. When I wanted to go place and do things, but in other ways, I travel. You know, I love to travel. I love going around places. I was supposed to go to California right before to make the Parsons film, and a week before Ireland was put on the list of countries to be locked down by the Rona. What that did was I could have been furious about it, but in other ways I turned that around and I went into, and Jason, my partner, we went into a more imaginative, artistic way of doing it. And so sometimes being denied what you're expecting can lead to alternative modes and modalities of thought and cognitive processes and imagination and fantasy that was not there before. And then you switched into a different way of thinking. So so that's what I think a lot of people. I know it sounds horrible now, and I'm not downplaying people who've had a hard, depressing time over this, who are in the tribe or one of us or people like us. But at the same time, they will in time realize that, well, some good stuff came out of it. I wrote a couple of good songs. I met some really nice people that I would have never met if I hadn't done this. I realized that the guy I was with, the woman was a muppet, and they had to go, or I had to go, and this kind of thing. I realized I was a really good parent because where all the other parents had their kids terrified of dying, my kids were constantly reassured that it's not so bad, and the news and schools are making it worse, and they've turned out to be greatly enhanced as human beings and people in their life by not being put into that fear porn mode. It's important stuff now, This is the secret college of the self. And then you will look back on that and say, yeah, that worked out quite well, telling the kids, look, the news and the TV is making it seem much, much worse than it is. You're not in danger. Your mommy and your daddy are not in danger. And you see those kids do better in life. It's like I was saying, you're going to have a time bomb now of young girls who are growing up. The young girls who had fathers who were like, oh, I'm so afraid, I'm so afraid, I'm so afraid, right? They're going to spend the rest of their lives seeking out daddies. And it will have negative consequences probably for many of them. Daddy wasn't there to protect them during this year and a half. He was too busy switching frantically through the news channels, with a mask on his face, screaming. And that their sons will grow up not knowing how to be a man. So we're going to have an unleashing, and it'll also be young kids who, even if their parents will like that, will develop their own path in life. They won't end up like them. But the great sadness and tragedy is that there will be last huge raven flu by there. Odin is watching, and the great sadness of this is that there will be a lot of young people growing up now who saw their parents in terror watching all this happening and unfolding, and they're not going to be. It's going to have a negative impact on them in their lives, Conversely, the parents who sat their kids down said, "Look, don't worry about it. It's not like your school. Your school teachers are muppets. It's not like they're not telling it on the TV. It's not this bad." Those kids, will have an advantage in life because they will automatically have been given a sense of self autonomy because they're already thinking for themselves, plus a sort of like a psychic integration. I sound like I was well integration. No, what did I sound? Look at Jordy. Psychic integration. Like man, fucking uh, Hootman and Titsut. Say the sexes. That would be a funny one to do. But I can do a good Geordie accent when I have a few pints on me. But yeah, a sense of psychic integration there. And, there's no need to be too upset. Even at the height of things, there was no need. Now, regarding needlecraft, yeah, the line is drawn there for me in the sand. Not going to happen to me. And others, what they choose with their lives. Let me tell you this: I will not pass judgment on anyone who's taken him. I won't I won't look down on them, I won't slack them off, and I won't be like if any. But there's a kind of a nastiness out there going on, like that. That people who have taken needlecraft and their friends, or even people they know, not their friends, but people they know, are almost like subconsciously wanting something to happen to them. So they're going, nah, 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 nah. No, that's NPC, Norway behaviour. We in the tribe are above that. You should still have compassion for the people if they're good people, and hope that nothing negative happens to them. Hope that nothing negative happens to them. But you should have compassion and care and kindness, and be loving and kind to people. Because you know, you know, I know, like me, I'm not typical of others, and you should know the same of yourself. So you cannot put yourself in another person's shoes and say, "Oh, I have these expectations of me, so therefore they must reach up to my." That's a cult mentality. Your attitude is like, let them live their lives as they are, and if they're good people, wish them the best, wish them kindness. Give them kind. It's a great thing. It's an untapped superpower. An untapped superpower is gratitude. Gratitude is an untapped superpower, and a lot of the problems you see in the world with these SJWs and all these middle class like rioting types and stuff is because they've all been raised spoiled in all white gated communities, upper middle class, and they've never suffered in any way. And so therefore they have no gratitude because they've never known any hardship. Where you'll find that most of the people in the tribe have had to have come from poor or working class backgrounds, and even the ones that didn't, but they've made something of their lives. They've had to fight for what they got, and therefore they have a great sense of gratitude towards what they've achieved. All you have to do is look at someone who's severely disabled and say, instead of saying, you don't say, "Oh, sure, the poor old thing, God rest us and stay with us," like that patronizing crap. You should say to them, "Well, those people that person has a tremendous challenge in their lives, and fair fucks to them for pulling it off. But I'll have the gratitude that I don't have that to deal with. I can get out of bed by myself in the morning. I can put my own shoes on. I can go do things. I can go, I can walk enough I can get into a town by myself to be annoyed by the NPCs. And I should be gratitude for that because lots of people can't even do that. And then the greatest gratitude of all is the education that we've derived in the last year and a half. And gratitude is a kind of a superpower because the more you kind of you're grateful for the little things that have gone right. Again, that's a charisma building exercise. Yeah, the charisma grows as well. There's nothing more uncharismatic than a bolshy, surly malcontent or a misery guts. There's nothing more obnoxious than that. Nothing more obnoxious than that. But there's nothing more horrible in a person than everything's a problem. And they really don't have a lot to whine about, so they go looking for things to upset them, That's a charisma killer. You know, back to the subject of the invasion of the body snatchers. Yeah, it's happened. I was listening to John Waters with this on the radio show recently. A very good podcast about ancient Greece. And I got into the podcast; is pretty good stuff too. With outside that, and he was saying they were saying, metaphorically, an invasion. But you could tell that deep down inside, both of those guys are like, yeah, maybe, it's because that's where it's gone for us. That's how bad it's gone. Yeah, I mean, you look at them. I look at most humans now, and I don't see the same. I don't see human beings a lot anymore. I see that Donald Sutherland, that at the end of the film, invasion of the body. So I see that. That's what I see. That's because what's happened. It's happened. And then, this is the whole thing. Why are we getting full of this alien invasion stuff? We know Project Bluebeam and all that stuff. But why are we getting lashed with that stuff, But, Lovecraft never said how big the outer ones were. Azathoth could be living inside your bloodstream right now and you wouldn't know it. And, you would know it because you'd be like the NPC hustlers, shufflers. You'd be like that. Yeah, so gratitude is a charisma builder. Be grateful for all you have. Not buying into fear porn is a charisma builder. Not being evangelical in it, you must listen to me, you must do as I say, is a charisma killer. Charisma builders are gratitude, just being a relaxed self, learning. That's a tremendous one. Like I said, the secret college of the self, learning about yourself. And because a lot of these angry, uppity ones, they haven't done the shadow work. They haven't done the shadow work, or they're too stupid to do it. And they, you had a lot of trouble in the Middle East recently, and all these fuckers getting involved, and they have no connection in any way to what's going on in the Middle East, and they're picking sides on both sides and going, yeah, that's my attitude. It's like, it's not your fight, So, but they suck you into this. They suck you into it, And so yeah, I've been watching old movies a lot lately, and we've lost so much since the 80s. If you watch a film made in the 80s, like The Breakfast Club or Back to the Future, that's very much set in the kind of 80s pastiche, the whole thing of the 80s. And even all sitcoms like Married with Children, still very, very funny. We have lost so much. Well, we haven't. The tribe hasn't. But people like us haven't. But the human race and Western society has lost its charisma since then. It's, you look at a show like Married with Children, it's absolutely hilarious. It's unashamedly politically incorrect, and it's really funny jokes in it. But yet, at the same time, when I tell people about that too, and they go, "Oh, that Al Bundy, he's a scumbag." I said, "Hold on a second. Al stayed with Peggy and the two kids. He would beat up anyone who attacked them, and he worked in a job he absolutely hated to make sure his family had a home over their heads." Al Bundy was a hero, okay? Oh, but he made fun of fat women, and Al Bundy was a hero, okay? And they said they did this, but he was portrayed as like, what a joke these guys are, these working class guys are. What, working in a shoe shop, joke. There's more honour in that than being the tech guy at Twitter who was caught with grooming 7-year-olds, soliciting 7-year-olds. That's who's running the world now. Same with Homer Simpson. Homer works hard, takes care of his wife and kids, will batter anyone who tries to hurt the kids, and he's just totally devoted to Marge. And he works at a job he hates. And but he's such a slot. So what? He's better than 90% of the people that would slag his archetype off. Apu, they took Apu off the show because it's apparently offensive to Indians. Though most Indians I know kind of think it's funny. I had no problem with it. And these SJWs and wokies are so stupid. They probably think of Pooh as a Muslim, and because that's how stupid they all are. Let me tell you a story the other day. I was on an atheist group, and they had a meme and a picture of a white looking Jesus Christ, and the meme said, "There I was, the only white guy in Jerusalem in 2000, 1 AD, whatever, 33 AD." And they're all these neckbeard soy boys, atheists are all chortling. Aren't we so clever? Oh, Jesus would have been brown skin. Oh, we're so funny. We're so witty. Oh, these types. And I pointed out, I said, even as a pagan, I have to point out that even in the Synoptic Gospels, there is numerous mention of Armenians, Greeks, and Romans in Jerusalem at the time of Jesus Christ. And the so-called I fucking love science neckbeard atheists come because you get literally smile laughing face at you for saying that, okay? And then they say things like, yeah, but Romans are all. Have you ever been to Rome? They're all dark skinned too. I'm like, you do understand, motherfuckers, that the Roman Empire was an empire, and there would have been people there from the north of England, what was the north of Britain. There would have been Gauls, Germanic types. There would have been light-skinned people from the Slavic world. There would have been all kinds there. They're just so stupid. That's why they think Pooh is probably a Muslim. They're so anyone with brown skin that talks like that. No. Oh my God, the squishy machine is broken down. This kind of thing. Oh, they must automatically be a Muslim. They're so stupid. There's no difference between a neckbeard SJW thinking that a Pooh is a Muslim than after 9/11 when you had these idiots, attacking Sikhs because they had a turban because they thought they were Osama bin Laden's friends. They're just as stupid. They're just as ignorant. I even put a picture. It was a sexy. I made a meme the other day, and it was a picture of a couple having sex from a fresco in Pompeii. When he took down Pompeii, and it was like they had people used to paint pictures of them and their wives having sex on the wall. Well, they'd have a fresco done of it, and I put, "This could be us, except you accepted. But no, this could be us, but you be accepting the Edict of Milan, which made Christianity the official state religion of the empire." And you think all the atheists would jump on that, thinking it was very funny. No, that's sexist. That's sexist. But then you see they're just like Puritans. Oh, they're fucking horrible. But anyway, that a Pooh was taken. Oh, what's a Pooh also? A hard-working man with a small business who's devoted to his wife and kids. Manjula. And so they removed the archetype of the hard-working man, male, heterosexual, is the problem, not anything else. And you watch that and you look at sort of things from the 80s and you go, I watched Rodney Dangerfield's movie Back to School. Absolutely wonderful. So funny. And that's almost, you could see how much charisma there was in the world back then, and it's all been lost. Take care, love yous all, and we will talk again soon. Hey, and I can't shut the fucking thing off. There we go.